what kind of power are you expecting? Like, where do you see these things going? Like,
so the guy that designed the block. So I was just talking with Carsten Wegner from Wegner Tuning, the intercooler company. Wagner, excuse me. And so we're actually going to be going to SEMA. He invited us to be in his booth at SEMA this year. So
that's fantastic. Cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, Philip's going to be there, and so it's going to be good. But so the guy who helped me out in the beginning. So what happened is my dad he started a company that manufactures coil processing equipment. So like all the steel that you see, those big coils of steel, they look like toilet paper rolls that are rolling down the highway with semis. So we make the machines to manufacture anything that steel would go into. So meaning like we process the steel, which it goes through a set of rollers, it's stress relieving. So we have all these machining centers. We hired this guy who had worked at a company called LSM, which they did development work. They were the first ones to make the Billet GTR blocks for AMS.
Oh, wow.
And so anyways, I started telling him this dream. There was a company down in Texas that makes those 1AT blocks, right? So I was talking to them, and I said, I want to make a block, and are you guys making it? They said, yeah, I think we are. And then all of a sudden they said they weren't. And I talked to this guy who we had hired, and he said, well, we can make one. And I knew someone who works in the aerospace industry, and he has his own scanning equipment, and he understands how to reverse things so that it's very easy to model off of.
And that's a plug.
All of a sudden it just clicked. And so the guy, what we found, he works for a very well-known company that I don't want to say right now because he could get in trouble, but
fair enough.
Developed. I'll tell you who else he's worked for. So he's worked for this LSM company. He did helped develop that GTR block. He worked for a company called T Black. He developed all their big block, billet block engines. He's got over 34 designs under his belt outside of his current business, which is a Forbes company. So he's an amazing guy, an amazing resource, and I was talking to him about it, and I how many times do you ask somebody that question, right? You're like, okay, so what can it do? Like, what is it? And he looked at me and he said, Reid, honestly, like every other part you're going to throw in this block is going to break before that block breaks. He's like, I go 2,500 horsepower. He goes, it's not going to break. And so that's what he said. So what we're going to, as a D5 community, what we're going to have to step into is creeping up on the power until our forged crankshaft breaks, right? I mean, there's that car in Europe that's 1,500 that was in a compound setup, right?
RS4, I think, or the Avant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a sedan, a Nagaro sedan, right? That was in Poland, I think.
Mm-hmm.